Dude, you guys been making some headlines. I'm
Yeah.
actually stoked to have you on, like the day after all of the headlines with
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield. He came on the You Never Know podcast. Go download, subscribe to it. It's phenomenal.
It's a great
I
show.
listened to that whole episode.
You guys.
But yeah, you guys been making some waves out there, some highs or lows, depending on how you see it. I saw you
Yeah.
took to Twitter as well.
Yeah.
My thought was kind of when I was listening, you said, was it, would you say like, are you,
said,
you
did
feel disrespected?
Someone's got to ask the hard questions.
Yeah, I know. But I'm thinking to myself, once you ask that, oh, you know that's going to go
Yeah, but
viral.
it's an obvious question to ask in the situation Baker's in. Like anybody and everybody's
agree.
going to feel disrespected.
I agree, but
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you
I
knew that-
mean, it pisses me off. You know, I get
I
get
saw on
pissed
Twitter.
off with like sports media. I know you guys are technically sports media in a way.
No, don't put us in that box.
You're not though. You're not.
Yeah.
Put me in
I was
that
just
box.
gonna. I was just gonna say though. You guys.
in that box. Clicks now.
It's that same thing though. Like you guys are. You're one of them. So that's why you guys are winning, and you're getting more and more guys coming on and just having real conversations because they don't want to go sit across from fucking Skip Bayless and get pride, and get pride for answers and clickbait and things and like what bothers me about it is like we had a 90-minute conversation. And I thought it shined an incredible light on him, who he is. I love Baker. Like he's one of my good friends. And you know, just to see that, like, it's just such a clear story that what the media does, you know? Like they took fucking 2 sound bites that were like 10, 15 seconds long. And in the same breath, he goes, like when he said disrespected, like he goes, but that's part of the business.
Right.
He said in the same breath.
Well, and the same thing with him at the cubicle, saying the cubicle thing, he goes, I probably shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, he's like,
You know, he's like, obviously you can't, you shouldn't, but he's just like,
right.
he said things and then was like, I didn't need to do that.
And like, there's just, I don't know, anyone with any fucking savvy whatsoever who doesn't have, you know, an ulterior motive or a preconceived notion. Like, even if you had a preconceived notion, I've gotten thousands of messages being like, yo, thank you for showing him. Like, I didn't like Baker before this. I thought he was an asshole.
It was like that with us and Johnny Manziel.
Exactly. And that's why I did the thing with Ball Don't Lie with Johnny. Because, like, I have a weird vantage point with these guys where I fucking see them for who they are, really. Like, yeah, they fucked up or they've done something wrong or whatever. I don't judge people off their mistakes. I don't think anyone should be judged off their mistakes, you know? So it's just corny. Like, I hate sports media. It's actually firing me up to care a little bit more about sports. Like, we've talked about it. Like, if I wanted to, when one of my buddies, like, I could fly around every week and get a crazy sit down with everyone. I don't. Like, the irony of this entire thing was the only reason that podcast happened right then is because I was moving. He was my neighbor.
Yeah.
So I was just like, we've been talking about doing it, and I was about to leave. We're about to go on tour. So come to Nashville. So he's like, yeah, let's do it. And he had wanted to do it, you know, like it was kind of his thing. Like he hit me, we were out, you know, he was over and we're like, yo, let's do it next week. So
You
we
guys did
did
the podcast in Nashville or Austin?
in Austin.
Okay.
Yes. And he was like 5 houses down, you know? So it was like every interview I've ever had, it's just one of my buddies. It's happenstance that we're in the same place. I've never been like, hey, do you want to come on? You know, like fly him out or whatever. None of that shit, you know? So that's kind of the nature of the whole thing. And we knew it was probably going to be a thing. I didn't see it going. As I watched that episode and before we put it out, I didn't see like people demonizing him the way they are. And it's just pissing me off, you know, like
it doesn't seem like they're being, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
demonized might be aggressive. That's not the right word.
I don't think people are demonizing him because what people are saying about the Johnny Manziel podcast we did, I don't know Baker Mayfield. I love the antics. I'm an antics guy. So when he's doing the fucking nut grab thing against Kentucky and all that, talking shit, I like that. I think, oh, that's cool. Like, because if he's walking and talking, and I think when I was watching that podcast, hearing his struggles of being at Texas Tech and then having to leave and go to Norman for a month and a half and just play rec sports and then finally get to meet the coach when he gets cleared, all that shit, and you're like, dude, this dude's been through it. And then you go listen to the mainstream media of Sports Center, Skip, whoever it is.
He's entitled.
He's entitled. He's never dealt with issues. He was the number one overall pick. It's like, bro, regardless of what you, like how many stars you are, everyone has a different journey, but there's always adversity, regardless. And that's kind of the issue is people want to frame up people. People could look at me and be like, oh, he's a first round pick. He's made Pro Bowls. He was the highest paid at one point. It's like, yeah, but there's still adversities you go through. They might not be as dramatic as this next guy or something like that. But every day is adversity, and with more stuff, like more, what's the Spider-Man line? Where it's like we talked about it the other day. with more power becomes more responsibility.
Mhm.
And you know what I'm saying?
Will's tired. Don't
And
ask
he
him.
is tired, and he,
I was just staring
Will
at-
just looks out. He's like,
Will's half in this conversation.
Hey, the place up with the snow.
Oh my
no, you're
God.
exactly right.
But it shed a light on Baker that I enjoyed. I don't watch a lot of podcasts, but I saw that and I was like, it's making headlines. Let me see.
And you love me, so you.
I do love you to death. And you see like what ESPN's saying, and you're like, damn, like he really just said that. And you go look at it, and you're like, he didn't really fucking say that.
Yeah.
Those words came out of his mouth, but the context of what you're saying it in, it's like you're making it way worse than it is.
And like framing it like he was like saying it seriously, like he was like, I
actually
probably
going on your
shouldn't say
pod.
that, you know, like he said it in the
Yeah.
same breath, you know, and we're
Exactly.
laughing, and it's just like we're talking about, you know, I think there's a lot of delusion in the sport. We talk about this a lot, like the sports fans. Like he's a huge sports fan. I'm just like,
Yeah, you're
you
not.
say you don't call yourself a sports fan.
nah, because
Do you feel like maybe?
I love sport. No, I love sports. Like I sit
I
down.
think you say you're not a sports
I
fan.
sit down and watch sports. I'm saying the sports fans' relationship to the teams, the players. I mean, you guys can probably connect with this. It's just like the ownership. I believe the entitlement's backwards. Like, oh, you get paid millions of dollars, man. Like, fucking suck it up. Like, one, you're not paying their fucking. You know what I mean? Like, these guys worked their entire lives while you guys were bullshitting, going through your childhood, having your fucking first drinks and your parties and doing this shit and going to college and doing that. These guys, like, as much as you could argue God's gifts, you know, there's so much diligence and discipline and sacrifice to become the greatest, like to become good enough to be at that level and in that. You are not, you don't compare yourself. No, you won't trade jobs with them because they've actually been working their entire lives to be
Yeah,
here.
they
1% of the
can't do it.
1%.
And just because you're living in a region where they get drafted to that team, why do you feel entitled to tell them how their human experience is?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just don't, I get it. I love it. I know sports is as a staple in American society and in the world. Like, I think it's probably the best form of entertainment we have.
Mhm.
Music and sports.
Behind
And
your
keeping
stuff.
up with the Kardashians. Those three things are really,
like TV, not so much.
those
like,
things really box you in.
yeah, like
Those
music's
really
really
get it done.
impactful in people's lives, and sports. Like, there's a lot of powerful moments and emotions in sports. I'm not downplaying it, and I'm entertained when I sit down and watch a game. You know, I'm just not. People aren't even living their own
Yeah,
lives.
these guys ain't even living their own lives.
We have this joke like they're not living their own lives.
Their own
Like,
life, man.
they get so attached to it, it becomes part of their being, and they're fucking angered, and then now they're rude to their wife and their kids because the team lost. It's just I think it's fucking retarded. I think
haven't
it's
seen Mike
backwards.
this fired up.
I'm thinking fucking retarded. I think it's backwards.
Hey, I've been a media enough to know.
Oh my God.
know when to
I
stop.
think it's fucking retarded. And it's backwards.
Perfect.
Yeah,
I haven't seen Mike this fired up in a long time.
But to be honest with you, like, I don't think you're wrong, but I think in a lot of ways, like mainstream media, there's necessary evils that come into play. Having the passion of fans.
Totally.
Like, you know, when we lost to the Bengals in the division game, you couldn't talk to Jack or Garrett for a week. They were so hurt. And it's like
I totally get
that
it.
driving force of people growing up and deciding I'm going to be this fan has propelled us as athletes to be able to make the amount of money we have, to have the kind of eyes we have
Right.
on us. Now, the opinion stuff, that's where that little blue bird that we like to tweet on,
Mhm.
that's where it gets a little difficult because now everyone can say how they feel exactly. And it's like, you can say when the players lose, when the coaches and the players lose the game, but it's really not we. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are a part of it, but at the same time, like, we have to do it.
Right.
And if you start coming at us, it's like, it doesn't do
Yeah.
anything.
I'm totally with you. Like, this is just my opinion when I'm talking about like life. You know what I mean? When I'm thinking about like my being as a person, this is my outlook on it. You know,
Yeah.
like I've never been a person who's been fucking impacted when the team I played at Duke, you know, like the team won the national championship. Everyone's going nuts, and I'm like, you know, it's just me personally. You know,
You're mad they did it without you.
but I totally understand, and that's totally. What'd you say?
I said you're mad they did it without you. But go
Yeah,
ahead.
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. That's just me as a person. But like, that's such a valid point. Without the passion, it goes both ways.
Right.
It's like an escape, right? And you know,
Totally.
like, you know as well as anybody who's coming at you on Twitter, any social media, like, if it's real, it says more about the person. And if it's affecting you in a certain way, like Baker, what I respected about Baker is, even though he's saying all that stuff, like, Baker knows who he is and what kind of status is around him. He knows going on
Exactly.
your podcast. Like, there's gonna be headlines,
regardless of what he says. Even if he didn't say those 2 clips, there was gonna be something else taken.
But he's gonna stay with you because he trusts you and he knows what's coming out of his mouth. And like he said, whether or not it's true, it's up to him. Like it's all on him. But he understands that. I feel like the way he was talking.
Final say too. Like you don't. If Baker goes on any of those, like Skip Bayless, any of those guys, like if he accidentally says something, he doesn't get to come back after and be like, yo, don't put that out. Like they're waiting for that moment.
Yeah.
Right.
With Mike,
you guys the opportunity.
Yeah.
Did you guys give him the opportunity?
With everyone.
Everybody. Yeah.
So that goes to show you even more. He just doesn't give a he doesn't really give a fuck. He cares enough to say he doesn't want to say anything bad. Obviously, he doesn't want to upset anybody. But to your point, he knows himself. You know,
he's comfortable with
talking to his marketing guys. Are just like, oh, like this will be a fucking fire. You know,
he'll probably be more asshole tight about it than Baker will. Like listening to him, like it's like the same thing with Johnny. Like, do you have the regrets and all that stuff? Like listening to Johnny, you just know he's forgiven everything that he's like. He's taken the power back from where he used to put it with people or other people's opinions. It seems like Baker, when he spoke, was talking about the struggles he'd go through when he would read stuff. Like he's like, I see everything. As much as I said, don't I see everything?
It's so difficult not to see things.
Right. And he understands that, like, at the same time, like when he said, what did he say? Where he was like, yeah, but that's the game. When he said he felt disrespect, but that's the game, he gets that.
Yeah.
He's giving you a very zoomed in version. Like, let me go, boost somebody at the cubicle. But then he can sit there and say, I probably shouldn't say that. He can zoom out and say, you can understand the human element side of it is what I'm getting at.
I think that's the value and that's why you guys are having success. It's why podcasts are becoming podcasts will soon be the real format for these types of conversations.
I agree with that.
And people just want, like, you watch that episode, you get a real temperature on who he is.
Absolutely.
You don't get a temperature when you put him up on fucking one of those ESPNs across the table and they're trying to, like, it's just, even when you sit down and have like one of the more serious talks, like the E60 or whatever, like it's just not the same. There's just this candid feeling where you literally feel like you're on the couch with us. We're on our couch. My dog's got his fucking hog out on ESPN.
Is he all right, by the way?
Yeah.
Everybody was asking about the dog.
Some guy, some overweight guy who's like a sports media guy. I don't know his name offhand.
Cat?
No.
Yeah, that was good.
That's good.
I like that one.
No, some guy goes, this is off topic. He quoted it. This is off topic, but what are they feeding that dog? His back's gonna hurt. And he was fat, and I quote tweeted and I said, "Is your back hurt?"
I saw that, bro. I saw that.
It's just, if I don't really care what you say about me, but I'm going to bat for my dog.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I'm going to bat.
He didn't have a voice.
He didn't have a voice.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's just we were having a leisurely little, what was it, like a Sunday? It was like a Sunday evening. Yeah. Just, I'm casual, he's just getting a nap in. But
he knows the cameras are on too.
Yeah, he does.
Whenever the podcast
Gorgeous
he goes and kicks it by Mike every time. Like,
yeah.
Jesus.
That's the whole vibe.
But you did a good job too, because like we'll do the same thing. Like if a pod or an episode's taken out of context, like us, our audience, like we can directly go to the source and just say, you're taking this out of context. You can say all this stuff. Because again, in the same breath, like playing devil's advocate to it all, like the media has a job to do as well.
Exactly.
And you take certain clips that are going to get cut up, they're going to go viral. If you're somebody who strictly talks about football, not the scope of life, not the scope of the overall human being, but if you're just talking football, drama, and everything else, you're trying to earn a sense of credibility by either saying they made the right call, they made the wrong call, here's what I think about Baker, here's what I don't think about Baker, because they're trying to have like their own take, like they're trying to do their job. Or if like fans are going back and forth, like Baker said it too, the true Cleveland people, like the real ones out there who are going and clicking and watching the whole pod, who are probably sitting in, I like this take, like Taylor said. But most of those people aren't going to go to Twitter and understand everybody's arguing about it. They're just going to be like, I like this dude now. That's why it's got
such
so
a
many
loud
views.
minority of people on
Exactly.
Twitter. Yeah.
But those people, that it's something with them that they're so pissed off about that they got to try and punch up or tear somebody down to bring them down to their level because they're trying to be seen by masses too, to make them feel relevant in who they are. Like, look at my chirp at the fucking skis. When you go out there on stage and some Steve that signed up on a thing goes back, who's the skis dude? Like, you need to get rid of that guy.
I'll dare him.
They're just trying to they're trying to feel relevant in their own story, right?
Yeah. And yeah, those people, the guys, like, I totally understand. Like you said, I think you put it really well. I'm definitely taking the opportunity to point to the truth of it all, like at least from my perspective, for my fans, and trying to rally it in the right direction because I care and I care about Baker, and he don't even give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like,
which is the beautiful thing, which is ultimately like, that's good.
yeah. But just, that's where I'm at. But I'm also not oblivious. Like, this is what these guys do. Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless, like, these guys have jobs and they have families to take care of, and this is what you fucking do. So you can go in circles with this.
Absolutely.
One thing you guys said that is like real is like people ain't living their own lives.
I hope you guys like this clip. If you want to continue to be for the boys, you need to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share with a friend, and check out our playlist. We have all the links right here on the screen. As always, biggest of hugs and tiniest of kisses. Also, go check out the full episodes, but always for the boys.